What's up, LEGO builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for a custom mock review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Mr. Idler's AAT with a twist, because this blue CIS version is actually designed by Rich Boy J. Mr. Idler only has the tan variant. So I'm going to be breaking down this model, some things I like, some things I don't like, comparing this to LEGO CIS AAT, blue AAT, as well as comparing this blue version to Mr. Idler's tan Trade Federation. There's lots to do and see, and if you're excited to see more about this beautiful vehicle, don't forget to execute Order 66 on that like button, and let's get started. Before I get into the review, I want to give you guys some specs. So this build comprises of about 400, 430 pieces, somewhere in that range. Costs about $50 to $65 to build, and you can find the instructions for the tan version of this on Mr. Idler's Rebrickable. I'll post a link to that down below in the description. So the first thing that really stood out to me when I first saw this vehicle was just how well designed it was. It looks very accurate to the movie. It's not clunky, it's not too big, it's not too small. Everything is well proportioned, and like Scott Davis says, it's a very meaty build.
Nice!
You can pick this thing up, you can throw it around, it's very sturdy. I have built some custom builds where you can't really touch them a whole lot, you can't really move them around or play with them. That is not the case with this. This thing is basically a play model. And as far as the build goes, it's not very complicated at all. No super complex techniques, no illegal building techniques, nothing that would damage your parts, nothing that's too hard to figure out. In fact, when I first built this model, I wasn't able to access the instructions, so I just built it using pictures Mr. Idler had posted on his page, so very easy to put together. And while it is a mock, it does have some play features, which I thought was really cool. Up here on the top, we have a little hatch that opens up, and there's even space to put a minifigure in there. Unfortunately, it's not enough space to put a whole droid, but if you do take his legs off, you can put the upper torso in, and no one can see that he doesn't have any legs. The other play feature is down here on the back. This panel right here actually pops out, and there is a seat with some controls. This is where you can put the driver, and you stick a droid in there. I don't think you can put a minifigure in there just because of how wide they are, but he slides in there pretty easily. That was one thing that really appealed to me with this mock, because I love play features. Another thing I really like about this tank is how evenly the weight is displaced. You can see this rear area juts back extremely far back behind the main base of the tank, but that doesn't cause any kind of weight imbalance. You can see it can sit on its own. You can even knock it a little bit. You have to hit it pretty hard, fairly hard, for it to tip over. You can also move the main barrel up and down, and the upper turret can swing 360 degrees. But enough gushing and fawning over this tank. It's time for me to talk about some things I don't like. Starting up here with the barrel, it uses one of these half pegs to connect the barrel to the turret, which creates a very wobbly and wiggly connection. That can be easily fixed by using a black peg or a different kind of connection, which I'm going to do. And then another thing I don't like is actually the raising and lowering method right here. It's a headlight brick that is connected to this round plate, and it's very stiff and very hard to move. I actually replaced mine and used some pegs with a 1x1 brick with a hole in it, which allows this thing to move up and down much smoother. In fact, you can even grab it out here on the end of the barrel and move it without breaking the whole thing. I wouldn't really call this one a design flaw, mostly just something to be aware of, is these side cannons, like I said earlier, don't move super easily, so you have to grip them really firmly if you want to adjust them at all. But that's pretty much it for things I don't like about this build. Like, it's a phenomenal build, especially considering anybody can get these instructions. They don't cost any money, all you have to do is download. So this is the official LEGO AAT. This one came out in 2008, and right away you can see this one just dwarfs this one in size. It's very massive, but it's also very clunky and not as smooth or realistic, but that makes sense. This is a playset. This is a mock. I don't want to do this comparison to just trash on the LEGO set. Obviously, this one's going to be superior. I just want to show you guys what you're going to get in comparison to the Playscale one if you decide to build this. I do like the smaller sizes of this one because it scales to my gunships, ATTEs, and just my mocks in general better than this larger one. This larger one does have more play features, with this front hatch actually opening so you can get into the driver's seat, as well as having the same opening hatch and little thing here in the back as this Moc does. Now here is the Tan Trade Federation version of this design. This is my personal favorite design. I prefer it to the blue one, and this was actually my first introduction to Mr. Idler and his Mocs. Back in 2020 when I built my Battle of Naboo Moc, I used 3 of these tanks. Really the only noticeable difference between this design and this design are the front panels right here and the side engines. And this is where Rich Boy J comes back into play, because he did more than just recolor this design in blue. Because this piece obviously doesn't exist, he had to kind of design his own using these dark blue and light bluish gray larger panels and then filling in the gaps with some more slopes. And then here on the back you can see the tan version uses these large round engine pieces, which once again don't exist in dark blue, so Rich Boy J had to make a brick built version. I wasn't able to copy his exactly just because I don't know how he made it. I tried to recreate it as best I could with the pictures he showed in his video, but overall you can see it definitely captures the look and feel of this version very nicely. So huge props to Jay for being able to pull that off. And then I guess one more thing is the side cannons. This piece doesn't exist in dark blue, so you do have to use some binoculars. Jay used black, but I don't have any yet, so I had to use some dark bluish gray binoculars. So that's pretty much it for this review. I don't have much else to say. Hopefully this helps you guys get a better idea for if they could potentially work for you in your collection or your Mocs. Don't forget to let me know what you think about these 2 bad boys down below in the comments, and I will catch you guys next time. But until then, happy building.